You're listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series, and my name's Andrew Mackay-Smith. The interview subject that you're about to hear is Herman Li from the UK outfit DragonForce, and the reason for the discussion is to promote the 2017 album Reaching Into Infinity. Let's have a listen to what Herman has to say. Here we go. It's called Reaching Into Infinity. Sounds like yet another epic metal masterpiece from DragonForce. What can you tell us about the album?
First, thanks for having me on your podcast. Well, the new album is a continuation, I guess, the evolution of DragonForce. So we always, try to add new elements into the music, especially since the album The Power Within in 2012. I think we have expanded and gone more and diverse, in terms of our sound, and just kind of we're carrying on that tradition, I guess, on the new album, pretty much.
Fantastic. And you are touring Australia in June, and I believe that we are the first in the world to hear the new material live.
Yeah, that's right. We usually, last few times Australia was like at the end of the tour pretty much. And, we're happy to be able to kind of, put you guys right at the beginning. And also, how to say, we haven't done a, headlining tour in Australia since 2009. I know we came a couple of times for Soundwave Festival, but this time, it's just full-on DragonForce show now. So we're going to play a lot of new songs, of course, but also the old classic DragonForce will be there too.
Oh, fantastic. Now, when we caught up earlier in the year, we did something a bit different for the interview, and I asked your opinion of some guitarists that people might not know much about. And I've got to tell you, I got a pretty good response to that one, given the theory is that younger readers will be inspired to dig deep into YouTube and streaming services and investigate. When we last caught up, we spoke about your opinion of J.K. Lee, Vito Bratta, Doug Aldrich, John Sykes, among others. So I've got some other guitarists to ask you some questions about, so I hope that's okay. I've got about 7 or 8 guitarists to ask your opinion of. As I say, you are known as a virtuoso, and guitarists do look up to you. So I'll ask for your opinion on the first guitarist on my list, who is Jeff Hanneman.
Jeff Hanneman, of course, Slayer. I think one of the main thing about him is he's really inspired a lot of people with the heavy riffing, and back then you can say that stuff was extremely heavy if you first heard it at that time. Now the metal music have gone in so many directions, but Slayer has always been the kind of intense, fast, flashy, aggressive band, I'd say. Yeah. So he definitely have inspired a lot of players, with their approach of the solos. It's not like Megadeth or Metallica. Their approach of solos is much more kind of aggressive sounding and that kind of way.
So, just on that point about Megadeth, next person is Dave Mustaine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always like Dave Mustaine's playing since the beginning. He's a rhythm player that can play solos as well. Of course, he's strongest in the rhythm department. And one of my favorite albums for that kind of music is definitely Rust in Peace.
Yes, of course.
The album just out of this world. And, I also like, of course, Countdown to Extinction as well and all that. But Rust in Peace really kind of stands out as just the opening riffs all the way to the end. Yeah,
fantastic. And the obvious person to come next is Kirk Hammett from Metallica.
Kirk Hammett is one of the guys that I always hear people say bad things about. Funny enough, but he's a great player, and one of the way that he shows is his solos are memorable. It's not about how many notes you can play, but if you can sing those solos, that makes a great solo. Like solos in like Creeping Death, solos in I don't know, one, I remember the tapping solo, and of course the Black Album, the solos people remember really well, Unforgiven and all that stuff. So Kirk Hammett really is a great player that I think people underrated him because he was in a massive band. But I always like Kirk Hammett.
Yeah, some very good points about a very underrated guitarist there, actually. So my next guitarist is a lot of younger listeners might not know of him, but he's the guitarist in Morbid Angel. So in a lot of ways, he actually invented modern death metal, and that's Trag Zagtoth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was never a big Morbid Angel fan, unlike Sam and Fred in the band, but they always had. I remember when I first heard them, they had the Covenant. They had the weird production and stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess that was meant to be different kind of way. So I can't say too much about him. But I do remember that he was a big martial arts guy into Bruce Lee and stuff. I remember.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Reading the. There you go. Yeah.
Alex Skolnick from Testament and a bunch of other bands.
Yeah, Alex Skolnick was a big influence for me when I first started playing the guitar. I remember he was playing an Ibanez S series at that time, and Testament, the guitar playing. One thing that set Testament apart from the other thrash bands was I think Alex Skolnick was one of the main points was his incredible guitar playing. The solos just really cool. From the early stuff, I would say the fast songs like Over the Wall and stuff like that. The New Order, that's a really cool album. Great guitar playing on that. And I really like the solo. One of my favorite solo of him is Return to Serenity of the slow song of what is that album called? Electric Crown is the first song.
Yes,
no,
okay.
Electric Crown is the second song.
Yeah, I was just trying to think
I
myself.
can't remember the name of that album.
Neither can I. It's not Souls of Black, is it?
Ritual. That's what it is. The
Okay.
Ritual. That's the name of the album.
Oh, The Ritual. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I knew it was one of the earlier ones. I just couldn't recall which one because I'm a bit like you. I'm a long-time fan of the band and couldn't recall which one it was. But yeah, good pickup. The next one's a bit from left field, but given I just saw him blitz the stage 2 nights ago, Vernon Reid from Living Colour.
Vernon Reid is probably one of the first guys into tapping in the music video.
Yep.
That was for the Stain album, I believe. What's that first song? What's that first?
The first song of Stain is "Go Away."
Okay. I think it was the second or third song. Then I can't remember. But I remember doing some kind of tapping solo on it. He's got a different kind of sound, completely different from all the players we mentioned about. So he's actually a good player to look at if you wanted to hear something different.
Yeah. No, agreed. Yep. The next guitarist is probably one of my favourites, and not many people know of him actually, but I'm sure you will, and that's Ty Tabor from King's X.
Yeah, you know what? I never got into them that much. I had a few albums, but I never listened to it enough King's X to really be able to comment on his playing, I'm afraid.
Okay, Gotcha. Yep. Now, the next two I'm going to put together because they're the most obvious lead guitarists that are out there. They tour with the G3, I guess you'd call it production and show, but that's Steve Vai and Joe Satriani.
Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, they're one of my favorite guitar players. I still listen to their albums now. It's when we our new album's called Reaching into Infinity, and what we're trying to say with the new album title was certain music are just timeless. You can listen to it forever, And I think those guys made albums that I can listen to pretty much until I die. These instrumental albums. It's just like, so special that, you'll never be bored of listening to Passion Warfare or, for me, The Extremists, Joe Satriani, Serving the Alien, songs like One Big Rush of Flying the Blue Dream. And I also like the new stuff. People don't mention the new stuff so much, but I actually listen to all the albums.
Okay.
Pretty much every single one.
What did you think of, probably a different point about Steve Vai's playing and his albums, but probably my favourite of his, I think it's called Sex and Religion, and it's got T.M. Stevens and Devin Townsend on it. Do you remember that album?
Yeah, that is the first concert I've ever been to, Sex and Religion tour.
Cool, excellent. What do you remember about it?
Yeah. I remember I remember Devin Townsend shredding it up suddenly on the guitar, and I remember reading about it in Guitar World that he's a real good guitar player. And he had to play all these harmonies on the Passion Warfare songs. So it shows how great Devin Townsend was as a player before he was now known as a huge genius in the music.
Yeah.
So it's great beginning. Yeah, and
fair enough. And the last guitarist that I've got a question about, I don't know whether you know her, but Orianthi, the Australian guitarist who was Michael Jackson's final guitarist.
Yeah, I heard her album. Actually, she got really catchy songs on that album. Actually, funny enough, I can't remember what's the name of it.
Yeah, I can't
Believe or
remember
something
either.
like that.
Yeah, something like that. I remember being at the gym
Yeah,
one day, and I thought it was like a girl band song or something like that come on, and then all of a sudden this massive Eddie Van Halen style guitar solo just came on halfway through, and there she was shredding, and I couldn't believe how good a player she was. Not because she's a female or anything
yeah,
like that. She's just a genuinely great guitarist.
yeah. I believe she played with Santana before, something like that. So she's a great player. I don't know what she's doing now, but she's definitely one of the, I think the modern female rock guitar player, like one of the
Yeah, they're sort
known, I
of
guess, the best ones out.
kind of taken the baton from Lita Ford in some ways, and she's currently, I think she's in a relationship with Richie Sambora, if I'm not mistaken, and I think they tour around together.
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, so she's taken over from. I remember early days was like the girls from Phantom Blue, the girl shredders. That was.
Phantom Blue, that's
Yeah.
right. Yes, so I've forgotten about them. Yeah, there you go. All right, so I do have three questions that I ask all of my interview subjects. So I'd like you to humour me here and play along. And by the way, your answers can be as not safe for work as you like. So here goes. Choose 3 words to describe yourself.
Perfectionist, nerdy, but not boring. There you go.
There we go. All right, second
More than
question.
people, whatever.
If you could go back to when you were 18 and give yourself some advice, what do you think you'd say?
I wouldn't go back. I'm quite happy where I am these days. So let's not disrupt the timeline of the time, and make the butterfly effect.
That's actually the second time this week that I've had someone give me that response. So it's a really good response, actually. No regrets. Just keep moving forward. Keep on trucking, as they say. And the final question is, what 5 guests, living or dead, would you invite to dinner?
I've been asked that before. I kind of don't like inviting people over to dinner. So, none.
None. Okay. All right. Okay. No worries. What's an answer? So there you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I think we've run out of time. So I really want to thank you very much for the opportunity to have a chat again. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and I certainly was looking forward to the discussion. Thanks so much for giving such detailed responses to the questions about the guitarist as well. As I say, you are a guitarist that I know for a fact a lot of young guitarists and aspiring guitarists look up to, and I'm sure given your feedback in your responses that they're going to be say curious now and get onto those streaming services or YouTube to check out some other great guitarists per your advice.
Yeah, glad to be able to geek out on guitar players. Glad you expected me to know about all these guitar players. That's cool.
It didn't surprise me at all that you knew all of them, actually. And I was going to put some more challenging ones in there, but they wouldn't really be challenging. But like guys like Alan Holdsworth and the like. But then I thought, no, I'll put some metal guys in there because a lot of the younger, you're obviously a metal guitarist, and I thought a lot of the younger guys. If I put Alan Holdsworth and the guitar player from Level 42 in there, I can't remember his name at the moment. Sorry, it's escaping me. But wonderful guitarist. They might go and have a listen to it and go, hang on a sec, that's not metal.
And Australia, you got to put Brett Garth in there. What an amazing player he is from Australia.
Sure, yeah. Is he your favourite Australian guitarist, or do you know Tommy Emmanuel, obviously?
Yeah, and Frank and Barley. I mean, I learned watching those videos, to play the guitar. So.
Yeah. There is in Australia. We've got this funny thing going on where you can go into almost any bar at the moment. Well, not any bar, but a lot of the bars where there's a guitarist playing, and they might be playing an acoustic. But if you ask the bloke to really start shredding, he can do that. And I guess it's just the way the guitar has evolved. It's to make money these days, you've sort of got to play Brown Eyed Girl and the old favourite in Australia, Cold Chisel's Kaysan. I don't know whether you heard of that song, but Ian Moss, he's another good guitarist. But I've played in cover bands myself for years, and we end up having to play these songs almost every night that we play. And we like to sort of mix it up a little bit and put some solos in there and stuff. But yeah, you can't sort of deviate from and the core path too much. Otherwise, people get a bit upset because you're playing their favourite song and you're changing it too much.
Yeah, they don't want solos, but guess what? We don't really care if they want it or not. Just give it to them. Just stick it in there. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool.
All right, mate. Really appreciate your time. Thanks so much, and I'll be in the audience when you guys come to Australia.
Thank you. Talk to you again, and I can see you next month.
Absolutely, mate. See you down here.
You've been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and that interview subject was Herman Li from the UK outfit DragonForce. Really appreciate you tuning in and listening.